we'll go from there. But let's go and get into the actual talk before the whole thing about AI video generation. All right, so we we have Etan here today. He's one of our newest CPs, certified partners here at Digital Marketer, and he had some awesome success just simply executing the program that we talk about. And he's newer to marketing even. He came from the corporate field, very successful there, and then decided to take on the marketing world. And now he's killing it. So let's get into it. Welcome, Etan.
Hi, thanks.
Oh, I called you Etan. Sorry, I always say E.
No, you got it. Etan, that's great. Yeah.
All right.
Sorry,
Well, we
I'm
just start a little glitchy. That's not bad.
No.
We'll survive. All right, let's get into it. So why don't we just talk about kind of how you got started, why you got into marketing in the first place, and kind of that transition that you went through in order to get to where you're at now.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was actually doing marketing for the last marketing as a whole for about 9 years, just never on my own, never fully on my own. Working within companies, kind of started as a marketing specialist and moved on to be a manager and then to a director, executive, and kind of went that route within companies. And it's, been very fun, of course. I mean, I initially started in sales, which really drew me into people. Then I figured if I could just sell on a larger scale, as in get to talk to more people through marketing, that would be effective. So that's kind of how I got interested in it in the first place, and started looking for jobs in it. And that's how I got started.
Awesome. So what made you kind of transfer from that kind of positional role to now having your own agency, which is a huge step if the listeners haven't done that before?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty major. I would say after, doing it for a lot of other people quite successfully, and helping them build their businesses and grow their revenue, I thought, why not do it for me and use it to grow my own, build my own dream, right? And not just help build others, but now build others through building my own as well.
That's awesome. So the big turning point, was there something that happened where you kind of realized like, okay, working for somebody else is never going to get me to the place I want to get to, and then you made the jump, or how'd you do it?
Yeah, so I was working as the right-hand guy for a 8-figure business, working nonstop, really hitting it, 14, 16-hour days, weekends, nights, showing up whenever's needed. And me and my wife just had our first son about 15 months ago, and as all of that was kind of happening, I was really realizing if I just keep pushing here, yes, I'll build him a great business, but I'll be away from my family, be away from what's important to me, and ultimately, again, kind of just build it. And it was met over there with such a I can understand that I wanted to focus on family as well and lower the gear a bit. With I won't go into the details, but it was pretty interesting after all we kind of went through together. So I just decided now's the time to start building my dream and for my family and what we're going to do and accomplish.
Oh, that's huge. And I do think, yeah, sometimes it takes that kind of major life event. And I think age helps too. As you get a little bit older, you're like, maybe I don't have to work myself to death every day for no reason. But you need a kid, for some of us, we need children to kind of show us that, like, hey, there's bigger things in life than helping to grow a business, especially grow somebody else's business, which is a big realization. So talk to me just about how you got started. Did you actually start the agency while you were still working and then kind of transfer into it, or did you launch the brand right off the bat?
I just went into it. I left because I felt strongly about kind of finishing out there with what I have and then putting my full focus onto building this thing. And it was very exciting and I was very confident. I went in full out, right? Within 3 to 4 months, I had a potential of recurring revenue of multiple 6 figures. It was like, oh, we're just getting it, right? I knew sales, I knew marketing, we're going, this is great. But the reality hit fairly quickly after that, which is, oh, I actually have to serve all these people. I have to build something for that person. It was 12 different industries to learn and all these crazy things that you have to make money, right? I have to support my family, I have to build. So that's the initial push. but I didn't have the infrastructure around me being built with me as I was doing that. So it was very unproportional growth, right? So it was very much I got to a point where I was really just overwhelmed, right? I just took on way too much, way too fast. And the reality hit that I can't actually fully serve to the best of my ability all these people that I've committed to. And I'm going to have to make a change. I'm going to have to talk to them. And I had to scale down, right? And that kind of helped, really beat my confidence. I was like, wow, I read this completely. I thought I knew everything about what I was about to do. And I just got, just absolutely out of depth really quickly. And that's when I saw the opportunity for the Certified Partner program, which was really, just a gift that came to me.
That's awesome. Well, it does sound like a gift you have for, launching businesses, because very few people I know could say like, oh, multiple six figures in the first few months. And then I realized they sold too much. So before we get into that kind of that realization, let's just talk about how did you build that just right off the bat, where you were able to land some good sized clients and then get to the point where you're actually like, oh my gosh, I have too much work. I'm not able to serve it.
Great. Yeah. I mean, initially what I did was leverage what who I can talk to first and how I can get this offering out there. And fortunately for me, I've had a few wins on my back that people in the community kind of knew about me here in our local environment, which really helped. That's also why I was so confident. So double-edged sword there. But when I went with, so when I started, I just outreached at first. It wasn't very scalable. I was just, hey, I'm out and I have all these tools, all these tactics that I could do for you. Do you want ads? What do you want? Open shop. And I just built, a program for each one individually to fit their needs, which was part of of course, it was very easy to fit myself to sell the exact needs for them, but it was also a terrible idea because I can't actually manage all that. So that was the first step, was just, who do I know that needs help? And I just started calling, like, hey, how can I help you, grow your business?
That's awesome. Well, I think that's, that's pretty standard approach, where it's just like, hey, what are people willing to buy? And that's what I'll sell. And then you get so far on that. And I think the worst thing you could be is successful at that, because then what you do is you sign up too many clients and then you have the realization, like you did, like, okay, I need systems in place. And, building a business isn't just about acquisition and isn't just
Right.
about list building. Like, that's step one, Now let's get
Absolutely. I mean, and it's important for me to know, right? It's not, I've had major campaigns, managed millions of dollars in ad spend and all this stuff. So I was very, in my mind, I was like, I'm going to deliver some really amazing things to all these people, right? But it just was really clear that even if you have all the knowledge, but without the system to apply it, it's just not going to get anywhere meaningful.
Well, I mean, it could. It's just you won't be able to serve
Right.
that many people.
Sure.
And every person you add is going to add this much work on top of your workload, and it just keeps on going up until it's unsustainable. So I think your ability to just recognize that fact that quickly is huge, because most people just say like, hey, I'm making money. Yeah, some stuff is falling off the side of the wagon, but that's fine because I have more stuff I could throw on the wagon. And then I think most people get to the point where it's a year or two down the line, and now they've built this whole house of cards, and it could easily fall down. But for you actually realized that sooner and said, okay, I need systems in place to actually execute on all the stuff that I sold. And then I know we talked about this on the podcast, but you actually you didn't fire clients, but you let some of your clients go, right?
Yeah. I had to. I mean, that distinction that we talked about on the podcast, right, was really about as I was scaling down, the key to doing that for me was who do I believe that I can truly serve to the best of my ability, and who, even if they don't realize it at the moment, and we can go on for the next year or two with me just kind of giving them my, because I've had some big, I've had wins for them. It's not that everything was, they were getting results of sorts, but I knew it's not the type of results I want to provide. I don't want to just get by. And very soon, after a while, there'll be little stuff here and little stuff there that have fallen, and like you said, and I didn't want to do that. So that was part of that scaling down process of, okay, who can I actually serve best? And I'm just going to take them on and put my focus on them while I build this out so I can grow again.
Ah, that's awesome. So in terms of kind of whittling down to like, okay, I could serve this person the best using what I'm already providing. How did you kind of determine, the path?
The path, as in
which clients you're going to keep and which ones that you feel like aren't going to be best served.
Yeah, I think really it came down to whose industry I understand a bit more, and who am I, who I enjoy working more with also. I mean, who's going to be nice to be with while we're in this process, because it is going to take a bit more patience while I'm building it out too on some of the administrative stuff, right? So who is going to be someone who I can serve? I mean, I understand their industry, I know their clients, and I can talk to them in a way that gets them to take action. And who is, I still have so much to learn about their industry that it'll take a while to get up to speed before I can actually do it appropriately. Or
because so kind of like a self-assessment. I mean, mainly it's a self-assessment. What industries who are you emotionally compatible with, which I think is one factor that is completely overlooked with most systems, where you're like, no, this is actually, the human to human connection. And as a marketer, like 90% of your job is just managing the people, especially after you have the campaigns and all the stuff you've created. Now it's just customer service, essentially, which probably is not the right term for it. We'll call it customer management. What sounds more?
Sure. Yeah, but totally gets you, right? It's just keeping, talking, communicating the success. That's really the ongoing thing. Another thing that I wasn't very good at, unfortunately, which is just kind of the overall reporting and communicating and having the system in place to even, when do I communicate? Right?
Oh.
When and what do I communicate? Which was, a big piece of the retention and overall. If we know that retention is, most people leave agencies because they feel like they're indifferent to them, or they're another person to them. If you're not talking to them, that sure doesn't help if you're not updating them, right? So
No,
I knew that.
It sounds obvious, but it's not. And actually for me, when I had that realization with my agency, I was like, you know what, I'm going to be a good communicator. Like, I'm really going to follow up with people. I'm going to make sure they're up to date, blah, blah. And then I started doing this with prospects, and I actually had the reverse reaction sometimes where they're like, you're talking too much. And I was like, all right, we're not going to get along. Then, they filtered themselves out.
Yeah.
But in terms of that, the systemization and kind of what Certified Partner did for you. So when you joined the program, or let's just talk about, why did you join the program in the first place?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, so I was in that place, right, where I'm now really taking inventory and thinking, how do I want to grow this thing in a way that, one, is going to make the best impact and going to serve people the best, and two, I can maintain it and understand it and really know and feel conviction when I'm talking about it and all these other things. And that's when in my inbox, I saw this kind of certified partner thing from DigitalMarketer, which I've been kind of following and doing some of the courses. So I was obviously intrigued, and I kind of took a look at it, and just what was offered, right? The system, the overall systems, the slide decks, for sales, for delivering value, to doing, to overall the strategy, in a community. And I've never been really one to engage in a lot of online communities or anything like that. In fact, I've never have. I never really, I was one of those selfish kind of lurkers of just taking information. I'm kind of on the page and not really communicating or participating or sharing, just kind of taking. But that was very different. So as I joined the program, obviously, first it was not only what it was said to be, I found it to be absolutely much more. Starting with, of course, the certified partner training that you go through, and you really see the model that's positioned and given. And it was really just felt, I don't know, this confidence came up, upon me of like, I'm getting this system that's been proven to work by a major entity that I can then use that system and that structure to infuse my creativity through it, and create the results that I want to create in a scalable way that I can grow, and it will make sense and everyone will win. But the community piece, I just want to touch, one thing there, because there was a really big deal there, because it's not just, we have the certified partner training, but there was also the Agency Accelerator program, which was, I didn't even realize how big that's going to be for me. And that was unbelievable, right? Getting all the, I've never built an agency before, so I wasn't aware of all the basics, all the basics, so to speak, all the fundamentals that I need to put in place to win. So watching that program really step by step showed me what I needed to do. And there was a particular slide there from a particular presentation from Kyle Porter from Conklin Media. And he showed this kind of marketing action plan doc. And it was basically taking a lot of the stuff in the certified partner program, but all the different elements and kind of how he uses it as a front-end offer that delivers immense value to the clients, but also is then they use it to run everything because they have all the knowledge they need to actually run the ads and do everything that's needed. So after watching it, I try to find those slides. This is just an example for this. I mean, what a community, right? So I couldn't find the slides in the training portal. So I was like, man, I wonder if I'll just message Kyle and see if he'll, reply to me. I wasn't sure if he would. I messaged him. And within minutes, he replied, hey, do you want to jump in a Zoom call? I was like, what? I was like, I was driving. I didn't even realize it, but the same guy was put that training together. It's like, now wants to jump on a Zoom call, give me additional context. And he gave me the sheet, the slides. And that was like, wow. I mean, they've been using this for a while. This is another thing that works. That's very applicable to what I'm about to do. And he just jumped on that call, and that was very meaningful to me. And that made me really want to participate in the community, because there's people there that are, way ahead of me, people that are, some that were around the same kind of place and some that maybe are a step behind, but there's all these different people in different places and supporting each other. It's really, really cool.
Oh, that's awesome. I think that's really what makes digital marketer in general kind of unique, is this willingness to provide value, but then also, take the information, use it, take what works, and have all the different levels kind of working together in order to figure stuff out. So that's always awesome for us to hear, because that's what we're trying to facilitate all the time. So let's just talk about that, just the systems themselves, because I think a lot of times, like you were saying, or just like I was saying too, just the acquisition of business tends to take the forefront, and then the systems and fulfillment actually takes the back side of it. So in terms of digital marketer, were there any specific kind of frameworks that you used or started using and found, okay, this works?
Well, absolutely. So, I mean, the main thing was actually a big shift for me, and I'll talk about the exact frameworks I used from the program. But the shift for me was moving, and this was for what I did in my business and what I started doing for my clients, which was from tactics to strategy, and then having the right tactics, right? So, if sales is a tactic, but if it's not connected to a bigger picture, marketing, Google ads, Facebook ads, doesn't matter. All these things are tactics, right? But if they're not connected to a bigger picture of what we're trying to do, then it's not gonna, it may create results, but then someone's tied to you, right? So for my clients, as an example, if I just do Google ads for them and the ads are successful and they don't know at all what's happening or the strategy of it, right? And I'm holding the ball and I'm like, oh, I'm the Google ads guru. And I just hold it for me, that's not actually serving them to the best ability either. So I started for me in the same way, and I wanted the strategy. And I think the best, obviously this tool that blew my mind that I absolutely love was, of course, the customer value journey, which is this map, right? It's a map of how to create customers from scratch, right? And where do you need to put your focus, and everything else is kind of built upon this map. And where you see the success or where the issues are, and you can work to optimize throughout this customer value journey. And that was really powerful for me to want to see it. I mean, I've seen many customer journeys and all that, but this was just so simple, so clear, each step so fundamental, and how everything else ties into it. And that particular framework helped me kind of position, okay, I'm going to start everything with this map, right? But more importantly, and this is going to connect to how I got that deal, I'm going to I'm not going to hold the ball. I'm going to give the power to the business owner and give them the map, the absolute clarity from now or forever we work together, that they know how to create a customer from scratch with or without me.
Love that.
And yeah.
No.
Oh, keep
No,
going.
okay.
Okay.
Yeah, you can. I mean, I love it because that's actually, it seems so simple too, because you're like, hey, I gave people a map and then they started using it and now they trust me and it works for my business. And it sounds so obvious, but it's a huge, difference from how most businesses are run, which is very reactionary, right? You don't really think about like, okay, here's the next 8 steps that my customer's going to have to take. You think, no, I just got to get them on board and then I'll figure that crap out later because I got paid.
Well, yeah.
But
I mean, I've seen, right? I mean, everyone I've been talking to, all the small business owners in particular, right? There's this, I got to get more clients. I got to get more clients, right? And of course, I get it, right? There's overwhelmed. They have so much to deal with. There's so much that's going on. They don't stop to take their head above the water and build that map. Neither do they necessarily, of course, unfortunately have the tools, right? They're really good at what they do. They have all those skills, but they may not have the tools in the map most of the time, right? To create their own view of how they actually generate new business. That's not just referrals, right? And I think that was just a absolutely amazing thing, right? And digital marketer, right? Because it's all about the giving value, right? And it's talked about a lot within the different programs. That's where I came with that to how can I give them the absolute most value they'll ever get from me? And it's if I give them the tools they need to understand it, right? And now we have the map, we did it together. We went through the Accelerator program, which is what the certified partners do, right? We go through all the stages, building their messaging and showing them the path. And then we'll apply the right tactics for the right stage that you need that are the biggest movers for your business. And I may or may not be the guy to do that particular tactic for you, but I know a whole lot of people who can help you, right? And I think that's a big piece too. So if I can do advertising, right, I do Google ads, Facebook ads, Instagram, the whole shebang, but I may not be best on the on all those promotions for on the back end and getting email marketing, right? I can do it, but there's someone in this community of certified partners that I know for a fact will do it better than I can do this for them. Right. So it's kind of bringing it together.
Well, that's huge, in terms of that kind of realization that one, every client technically needs all of those components. And then 2, even if you're not the best person to provide them, where they fit into the system and now can refer them to somebody who also knows how it fits in the system. Because I think that's usually the problem with most people hiring an agency is they're like, okay, well, my buddy said that I need to be on TikTok. And so I'm hiring a TikTok person to do TikTok or a newsletter. Like I have to have a newsletter. So I'm going to hire an email person to do the newsletter. And then what ends up happening is you have a house built by 20 different contractors that aren't talking to each other. And there's just no way that's going to be attractive. It's probably going to fall down.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, and that's such a crazy thing, but we do it all the time. And so many businesses do this where they see the need, like you said, or my cousin said TikTok, but it's not tied to why are you even doing TikTok? What are you trying to get out of it? What's the offer that you're getting people to? All the, what are you actually saying besides doing some silly dance to get some, maybe one view from your cousin, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, I think it's the definition of ego marketing, where it's just like, I was told to do this thing, so I'm doing this thing, and I don't know why, but I'm doing it because trends. And I think it all goes back to customer value journey, where we're like, no, where does TikTok, which if you really look at it as a platform, fit into this 8-stage process? You'd say, oh, okay, well, awareness, you just are trying to get eyes on your stuff. You get good impressions on TikTok. And so you're using TikTok to generate that awareness, which will then transfer to the actual marketing system in this manner. Because you mentioned, your lead magnet all the time. I mean, that's all you do on TikTok. And then now you have something that makes sense. But in the meantime, everybody understands where it goes. And now you could say, what's the ROI of doing TikTok? Oh, it's negative $5,000 for the first several years. Okay. Do we need to do that?
I mean, and that's actually showing them too. I mean, the ROI piece that you just mentioned, right? It's one thing to provide them the map, but with the certified partner tools, we also give them how they track the progress of this map. How do they know if something's working or not? And so often, when I was working within businesses, I got to see this as someone who was paying other agencies, right? But it's so often, if the company doesn't have its key metrics dialed in and knowing what they're tracking and what they're trying to do and how does it fit into an overall picture. So you don't have a map, and then you don't have how you're going to track it. So you don't actually know if it's working besides, and this is frustrating both for the agency and the client, right? If if the phone isn't ringing, that's all that, they say, hey, this isn't working. What are we doing? Right? If there's not getting customers, which is the bottom line of typically why they try and hire us, for the most part, I would say that's probably the case. But if they can't see that or can't understand or can't track it more than just a gut feeling, then there's a problem. And that's something we can provide with this. So that's cool.
Exactly. Well, and that kind of disconnect, because there's nothing worse than doing an awesome job for somebody, and then they go like, oh, okay, yeah, that's great. I got 500,000 followers and I got 1 million hits on whatever, but our revenue didn't change and our leads didn't change. So you're fired. That's all time.
Well, it's a big part of why I moved into only doing the acquisition piece. So I'm really just about, I know how to get new customers, and that's all I focus on. And that's, I show you leads and calls. I don't focus on those metrics because it's too hard to, it's honestly too hard to quantify for a lot of small businesses. Like other size businesses understand the value of these different pieces, but they're all important. But where they need to focus first is typically on the acquisition side. And then you can build all this stuff, get more clients and then work through all these other elements of things, make more people aware of you. And that really was part of the Agency Accelerator that helped me see that.
That's awesome. And like I said, it's something that most people don't realize for, being in business for years and years. Like me with my agency, I had 6 years. I didn't figure out any of this stuff. No, I had some of it. I had some of it going, but now I know all of it. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's not that hard, the business side of having an agency, but we make it that hard if we don't have a community to support us. Speaking of community, I've hugged up all the time. So let's hear some questions. And you keep on going, Etan, of course.
Sure. No, yeah. Let's take some questions. Sounds good.
All right, questions, everyone. Well, let's talk. Yeah, actually, before we get into that, just to spur the questions on, let's talk about the big deal that you did. I think it was like 74,000 off of something. I'll just talk about what that is.
Yeah. So this is what I like about, obviously we talked about the context needed for this, right? But now I came back into this with a clear map of what I'm going to do, with proven tools and systems that I'm going to apply, right? And I knew that this potentially is worth millions to the right clients, right? I mean, this could be something that not only maybe takes their business to a whole other level, but may affect their life, right? So I really got connected to, we have so much power with marketing, in particular with these, amazing systems to put into this place. So I was now full of conviction and confidence to know that I'm going to deploy some powerful stuff. So what I actually did for this deal is actually pretty interesting, but I actually took this new offer that I felt really amazing about, and I wanted to reach out to a few people who I, that for whatever reason, when I just, started, it just didn't, on the first at the beginning, I didn't know what I was doing yet. I didn't know how to communicate right. I didn't know how to do all this stuff. I was like, man, I have something that I think is going to be a game changer for you. And I got them into a meeting and I showed them the sales discovery, the double your sales discovery deck that we get with the certified partner program. And, this was a whole other shift of who I was before this, right? And this whole other level that it took to my offering and to, what I'm doing. So for me to ask for the 74K, it's a rolling month contract for 12 months. For me to do that was fairly considerably. I didn't feel like this is that's a small amount to what it will be worth to these people. Besides the clarity from now and forever to know where to focus on their marketing, who they might need to hire, who they might need to do, but also being able to then supply them the tactics and generate the customers for them based off this. And just about a month after that, I got another 10K deal that related to the certified partner program, and I rolled out really quickly. And then we did ads, and they got 43 new clients in their first month. In 2 months strategy, then we get the ads, and we're good to go.
Wow, that's huge. I think it's and you did the discovery session, which, Mickey, if you're wondering the tool, it sounds like it's the discovery session and then setting up a CBJ.
Pretty much.
Let me see. So Mickey also asked, can you talk a little bit about your niche, how you identified it, and thoughts and experience on the topic of niching, which is huge. That's a great question.
Cool. Well, I'm actually really excited to talk about this one. Initially, and this is what we talked about the podcast too, I was in this phase where I still didn't quite, niche down. Like I didn't know enough to do that. I didn't feel like I had a lot of experience. I mean, I helped build a mid-spa type biohacking facility that we grew in like 8 months to a 7-figure business. So that was like my main, like I had a lot of experience in like the med-spa and biohacking field. But I didn't know that's necessarily the type of where I want to make my impact or help different businesses. So at that time, I just narrowed it down based off who I thought I could help. It wasn't as scientific to the niche. However, recently I made a decision, as part of what we're doing, to narrow down into something that's actually very close to my heart. And I thought, I don't know how, there's a few pieces I'm still figuring out as a model. But I was in the military for a few years. And when I left the military, part of the military stayed with me. And that was in the form of, PTSD, trauma, all these different things that I was dealing with. And I thought, and I promised back then that if I were able to get out of it, I would want to help other people find the support they need to get to the right treatment from the right people. So what I'm wanting to do now, and this is interesting because this is, within the last few weeks, I really narrowed down on this. And I said, I would love to position myself to help the different therapists and the people who are helping. When I was looking for something, I did not find pretty much anything helpful. So one, as the person looking for it, I couldn't find what I was looking for. But two, there's a lot of great people out there with a lot of talent that can help people, and they're not found because they don't know how to do marketing. So I'm moving in more into the area of helping different therapists, people who are dealing with, who specialize in trauma and all those different things, to help both those sides of the equation to make sure more people can see and get what they need.
I love that. Yeah, because I think initially, where you go like, okay, I could help the people, the consumers that need this help. But I love how you kind of switched it and worked into, no, you're going to help the people who help those people, because you can make a much bigger impact like that. And honestly, they're trained for it. So why would you not want to go with supporting the professionals? I think that's an excellent tip in terms of niching for your passion, your experience and personal struggles, and then finding a way to monetize it in a way where everybody can win. So I think that's a great answer. Nicely done. All right, we have Michael Grant. He's asking, do you have your staff for ads, PM, and social media to do ongoing? So do you have a staff for your execution?
So currently there's I'm actually using AI quite a bit as a big part of my content staff. So as far as delivery on an ongoing basis, I mean, what we can do today is unbelievable, right? We are in a place, I mean, in the AI, whoever's watching hasn't done the AI Accelerator yet, whenever it comes back, or if it's on, you should definitely do it. But they show there quite clearly how you can do a month of content in about 2 hours. So there's a lot that, as far as the social or the content creation, that's mostly myself, as well as a VA working on our, AI content, which is just phenomenal what we can do. And it's unbelievable. And on the other side of it, with the ads, that's something that I'm currently running myself, which again, I'm in this growth phase. This will be transitioned at some point, but probably in the first, as I'm building in this niche, the first 10 to 12, I'm probably going to run it myself, and then I'll bring someone in to kind of take it from there as I go to the next 10 and 12, etc.
That's awesome. And that's a great tip too. Because I think it's the AI side, even in marketing, is like, oh, did you use AI to make all your content? It's like, oh no, it's mainly human. But who cares?
Absolutely. It's so much better than anyone I would pay to do it at this time. Because unless there's really people who are unbelievably talented in content, a few of them are sitting in this very room. I'm not as creative when it comes to social posts. Leveraging the tools, and I know how to ask the right questions to get very creative answers though when it comes to those types of organic posts. Ads is more my thing.
But even so, it's because as somebody, I consider myself a creative, and I like I was showing at the beginning of this, is I developed an entire brand off of AI just because I don't have the time to do it. Plus, if you are systematizing what you do, then there's no reason why you can't make a system to have a VA and AI create all the stuff that you would have done yourself, because you're using AI anyways. You're just writing prompts, so you could definitely train somebody to do that. So I think that's a huge tip. And just so everybody knows, and we haven't officially announced this yet, but I think we're going to do a second AI accelerator in June, or starting in June. So nobody tell anybody, but that's on the agenda. We'll talk about soon. All right, let's see. I think there was a second question. Everybody likes your glitch, by the way.
Oh
They
yeah,
say it looks like it's like a secret feed.
I promise I'm not AI myself.
That's exactly what AI would say.
Yeah. Had an AI Etan replace me while I was doing something else.
That's the whole community. You've been talking to AI this whole time. All right. Let's see. Mickey has a second question. What's one thing you'd recommend new CPs do to speed up their results?
I would say don't wait, as far as the programs and materials, first of all, just eat those up as quickly as possible, and then do them again to get the clarity you need if you want to, but it's all there. I mean, it's and I don't even know how many courses I've paid for by now, man, so many. The framework is, there's often a similar flow. So this is the flow. This is the right sequence of doing things to get the results. So if you just kind of understand the sequence, I think that's major. And then not being how I was, which in communities, like just get in there because there's so many great people to answer questions. I mean, every time there's a question in there, people are giving their answer if they know it or if they relate to it. People are jumping in there, and that's really, I would say, community. And just if you're not sure what to do next, just eat that content up. It's all in there.
I love that. That's a great tip, because I think it is tempting to customize, because everybody in the Certified Partner program are professionals. They've been doing marketing for years. They've, done big things. However, I think the best way to integrate a system is to just do the system at least a few times before you start picking it apart and customizing and adding stuff. It's like, no, we talked to 120,000 people before we made this thing. So you're already getting a bunch of input. Just try it a couple times as is, then go ahead and customize it. So I think
it's funny enough, that's the first piece of advice, I think, in the Certified Partner program. I think he talks about, right, kind of, what was it exactly? Learn the box, master the box, break the box, right? And I think that's what Ryan says there. And it was for the first time that clicked for me, because I've been trying every time, right? I don't know, I'm not going to say this for everyone else, but for some reason I had I would often think, oh, I should do this will optimize it, or this will make it even faster, or this will make it even better. But the reality is there's already a lot of thought that was put into something. And first learning how it works, I think is great. And I wouldn't say that I even by any means mastered that box yet. But I've definitely digested, and keeping it in my mind all the time and seeing it, and seeing how some of these more seasoned certified partners have taken it and added their different elements into it, because they have been playing around with this box for a while, so they know what to add to it that makes sense. So seeing also from them and learning from them without me even having to break the box, I can see how other smart people have already taken it to the next level.
Yeah, and I think that's that you're gonna have to put your ego to the side. And I think that's really what we all struggle with. I mean, me especially, where it's like, no, I've been doing this for so long, like I have to put my knowledge into this to make it work. And it's like you don't even understand what you're changing, and at the end of the day, we can only tell you so much about the process of developing the system before it's like, I forgot all the elements that we used to create this thing. But trust me, it totally works. And you don't even need to know that other stuff, but just trust me. It's hard. And for you, I think especially because you had so much experience and right off the bat of launching your agency, you had success, which usually leads to somebody, getting a God complex and being like, you know what, I should be the teacher. and then that leads to a whole different path. So kudos for having that realization so early and for getting involved in the community, because that's a huge tip too, because just making comments and what it does is it takes the focus off of yourself, because I think that's inherently what we just do naturally, like, oh no, I got to think about my business and my customers and my, instead of just being like, no, let's go support somebody else and then we'll see what happens with that. And so I think your whole journey is very inspirational. Let's see, did I miss any other questions? Oh, got an accidental pun. Oh, you guys are chatting. You're not listening. Somebody ask a question. Okay, let's do this. So we're gonna have you out to the Certified Partner Training Day in just a couple of weeks. We'll probably do something similar to this in terms of the kind of live action back and forth and getting the community involved. But what I will say is when you're out here, if you can create some content, what content would you like to share with the digital marketer community in terms of kind of your journey that you've gone through so far?
Yeah, I think it could be really cool to share. I think just the steps needed to just do it, right? And I think just kind of go through the mindset that I had to go through to just figure out the right steps and then trust, in the process, creating the sequence for creating the right marketing campaign or for just overall getting more clients. Because I think that's where people are also scared if they don't know, oh, is this gonna get clients? Just kind of knowing that if you have something valuable enough to offer and you know how to communicate it, you're going to get the client.
Yep. Well, actually, let's talk about that then, just in terms of when you started, you kind of talked about pounding the pavement, talking to people. Was that an existing kind of book of contacts, or were you running a cold traffic ad?
Right. No, I wasn't running cold traffic ad. That was just off the bat, needed to do something right now. And I reached out to the community that I knew. Yeah,
That
different
makes
people
sense.
that I know, business owners. I was just kind of, how do I do this as quickly as possible, right? And that's even with my confidence in ads, it takes a moment for it to be fully profitable and make sure that it's actually doing the job. Sure, could I get some leads in, but to do it right. So to move that quickly, I had to reach out to the circle of people I've met, different business owners, and just kind of, hey, I'm out there. This is what I'm doing. How can I help?
Oh, I love that. Well, and I think that really highlights the importance of building your network all the time. I actually, we had a boot camp with Mandy McEwen, our expert for LinkedIn. And some boot campers were like, well, I don't need to be on LinkedIn, but they're all business owners. And I said, no, if you're a business owner, it's just mandatory. Actually, if you're an employee, it's also mandatory. You have to get on LinkedIn, because building your professional network has value that you can't even anticipate, which for you is you had a job and you were doing great at the job and all these things were going right, but you were still able to build this network so that when you launched a business, you now had somebody to talk to.
Definitely. And it wasn't, until we obviously getting into this community and seeing how strong the creating the content and doing all this stuff that I haven't really, I wasn't planning this long-term kind of growth plan. It was kind of just gotta go, gotta get people in, gotta do stuff. But just that was something that I'm really excited about to really incorporate into this next phase, all this content, value in advance and building the right content to really serve the community of people. And that grows that network and that other way, right? And that's the the way the marketer does it, right? And that's
Yeah.
what I'm excited to do.
There you go. So if you're not on, so what was your market or your networking method? Do you use LinkedIn, or was it more just a touching base with people all the time?
LinkedIn is a good one, definitely. And then there's just overall, I'm very, I just go over there and just chat with people. I do whatever I got to do, right? So if I had to, in that point, that was the immediate, most quickest way for me to generate results. So I was like, I got to make money. Let's go make money. I can't just wait around and write a blog post and hope someone likes it.
Yeah.
As a business owner, right? There's no, I'm not just going to, hope that I wrote a good content and optimize it. And then, well, let's change the headline. There wasn't enough time for it in the position I was in.
No, and that's necessity is the biggest driver most of the time, because you're like, well, I gotta put food on the table. For me, I think I joined BNI, so a networking group where I was like, it's built in, it's exclusive for the one position per group. And so I'd say if you have nothing else going, then yeah, join a networking group, or even chamber meetings does it. And it's and what you'll do is you'll refine your approach so you don't have to do it on ads, because you are a paid ads guy. So if anybody was going to do cold traffic to get clients, you'd think it would be you.
Yeah.
But your contacts are easier.
Right.
And free.
I mean, yeah, definitely. I like what Mickey wrote there in the comment, the prioritize revenue. I mean, that's what it's about at the end of the day, right? It's we gotta make it, and we gotta think what's the quickest, best way to do it. And that's the same approach when I, talking to clients, like what's going to be the best thing for them to create clients right now. And that's what I advise. And if it is paid ads, I'm your guy. Other than that, I'll tell you, right? Why are you sitting in your office? Go out there and talk to people. You are not doing well. What are you doing? So yeah, I mean, on the other side of it is, I just want to help them grow and achieve. And sometimes it's not just the tool that I bring to the party. But that's a really definitely prioritize revenue. That's the bottom line.
Yeah, no, I think starting out, you have to do that, because if you're not making money, well, and you have to prove the business concept too, because I think the worst thing you do, and I've seen people do it before, is develop a brand over years for something that nobody wants to buy, and it sounds ridiculous, but I think it's just a business development path where people are like, well, I really want to do this, and I'm passionate about this odd thing, and nobody likes it, but I'm going to convince everybody to like it. And that's going to take time. And so I'm willing to put in years to something that's never going to make money, versus you have a business idea, go ahead and try to sell it. Nobody bought it. Good news. You didn't waste a bunch of time. Go get a job or try something else.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, ads is, by the way, of course, this, but, ads are a great way to validate if people care about what you're doing. I mean, you just you send it out there. And I always feel a little bit, I wish people knew about keyword research before they started their little corner shop, knowing if people are even looking for their service, which is always an interesting theory. If no one's looking for it, I can't help you if no one's looking for your business. So we have to get in front of them in other ways. But
and just so everybody knows, like, this is a common problem, because there's actually across the street from here, they just built out an entirely new commercial complex, and they have like big chains. They have P. Terry's, they got Panda Express, and then they have something called Texas Water, and it's the standalone drive-through thing, and I have no idea what it is, and I'm not even curious enough to figure it out. So it's just sitting there. But I think that's a good example of like, hey, maybe you test your concept on, another scale before you. I don't think it's drive through alcohol. I think it's literally like health water is what the branding says to me. But it could just be bad branding too. So I'll figure it out. But so everybody knows on every level. And you'll see big businesses do this with products they think are going to hit, and then they flop. Well, Meta is a great example of spending $1 billion on a product that nobody wants. So don't do that.
I wish I knew. I mean, I honestly wish I knew about that earlier too, on many different occasions. Just kind of test the concept, just send out some ads, see if people care enough to sign up for your event, or sign up for the, those people do these things, events, and it's gonna be great. Like, no one cares. It's like, how do you make it that people are interested in it then, for produce this major thing?
Exactly. Well, and for me, I just came from fitness. And so, the fitness industry, I kind of tell people, I'm like, all right, the thing you're trying to sell is something that people actively avoid. They avoid eating well, they avoid exercise, they avoid working hard. And that's the thing that you're selling. So why are you doing that versus, because the people, well, fitness people, they think everybody has the same perception of fitness as they do, which nobody does. And so it takes a switch to be like, no, you got to make this approachable and easy and entertaining and fun and all these different things. And then now you have a product, because you're not going to sell the barf your guts out for an hour a day after working out so hard that you want to die plan. But they will temporarily, but they won't go forever. Anyways, well, this has been great. I'm so excited to have you out here in a couple of weeks. Definitely going to have to shoot some content, and you're going to be the first live certified partner training day interview. And I'm excited to get that done. So if you're not coming to the show, think about coming. It's May 11th if you're a certified partner. It's also exclusive. So if you're not a certified partner, this does not apply to you if you're live. All right.
Awesome.
Well, thank you
I'm
so much.
excited to be there.
I think it's going to be great. Where can people learn about you in the meantime?
Yeah, so the easiest place is definitely going to be on LinkedIn if they're wanting to just kind of connect and chat. If they're looking to talk more with with me about some venture type stuff, if they need just a consult on something, I'm happy to help at Etan at prosperousmedia.us.
Fantastic. And Michelle, she just shared your LinkedIn profile on here. I think we have to be connected. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
we
usually
are.
do that before podcast. Okay, good. All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for coming to the show. This has been Agencies Talk, where we talk to very successful agency owners, many of them part of our certified partner program, but also some that aren't. So other specialists. So tune in next time and get some more great content.